Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 70 of the Friday Nightmares podcast. On this episode, we will be talking about Thai horror. I am one half of your hosting team this evening, coming to you from the town of Swartz Creek, in the county of Genesee, in the state of Michigan, in the United States of America, in the North American continent, in the Western Hemisphere, on the planet Earth, in the Milky Way galaxy, fully vaxxed, boosted, and waxed, and ready to climax. And if you can, please get me wet, feed me after midnight. I'm the man with the not so glorious beard, aka Mother of Cats, aka the man with the humongous ego, aka Scott Housen, aka Smoke Show. And with me, as always, is
I was gonna say another thing is in Tim Davis's mom.
Yeah. I'm your mom now, Tim Davis.
Heather Powell coming to you today from Waterdown, Ontario, Canada, and we're just dealing with a bunch of technical issues, probably because we're recording on a Friday night, which we never do. Well, I should say we never do. We do once Rarely. In a while. We're just all over the place, Scott and I. We're just really, really busy.
Yeah.
Super busy lives. And, we just are constantly trying to, make it work, I guess you could say.
Make it rain.
So, make it rain. Make it rain! What Scott's been doing, fucking watching like a maniac. He went from never watching anything to watching all the fucking movies.
See, this is what happens when you give me shit.
I know. I should just learn by now to keep my fucking mouth shut. But, here we are, and here you are, and back we are again in the saddle.
That we are, and oh boy, did we have a lot of fun together over that weekend.
Oh man, did we ever? We're gonna have to talk about that, but I feel like we should get into our 2022s because you watched a lot of movies. Though I have made you cut some of them out. You may not talk about. It's not.
I mean, some of them are not really worth talking about, so it's fair.
Right. So anyway, I guess we'll get to this first one here. This is a Netflix film. Oh, for people who don't know our show format, because like Tim from Horror for Dummies now does an intro. They actually apologize on their most recent episode for talking too much about non-movies. We don't apologize. You know why, Tim? Because we're not ashamed of who we are.
This is us. This is our fucking banter. You like it or you hate it.
We're like singing that song from The Greatest Showman. This is me. You know that song?
I do not.
Oh man, if I didn't care about privacy laws, we would put this at the end of our fucking show and have it play, but we're not going to do that because we actually care about artists getting paid for their work. Tim Davis.
Ooh.
Yeah. Truth is, we just are too
Truth
lazy.
bomb.
More than anything. Not that we care that much. It's just we're too lazy.
It's just extra editing. It's just extra editing.
So for if you're a first-time listener, what we do is we jump into 2022. So we were watching, Scott and I are 2022 watchers, and we just watch all the horror movies. Not as much as Mark Nato. So if you listen to the Rotten Roundtable, we're like a Mark Nato light.
Yeah.
We do more than theatrical releases, but we don't do every single film that's ever been released this year. So we do cover a variety of international films. We do cover a variety of Shudder, Prime, on VOD on demand, as well as theatrical releases. I'm forgetting something. Tubi.
Yeah, Tubi, a low budget stuff. You name it, we'll watch it.
Yeah, we watch everything.
Yeah.
You should see our Pornhub searches.
Oh man, no one wants to see those.
Oh man,
they may be scared.
I don't want to go down that road. There's trouble down that road.
A lot of history down that road.
History down that road. I have threesomes down that road. Anyway, what was I talking about? So yeah, we do that. We talk about older watches if we watch anything of interest or highlight. And then finally, we do talk about what's new, which is just what's going on in our lives. It's not related, not what's new in horror news. You listen to Sasha Radio for that shit. You don't listen to this podcast. You actually want to know news, you talk to Rob Humphrey.
Yeah.
You don't talk to Scott and I. Scott and I don't know fucking anything. Well, like a movie will come out and be like, oh shit, that movie came out. Oh, it's coming out tomorrow. Oh wow.
Oh shit, we'll watch it.
And then finally we do a review of, right now we're doing international films, and then we do an out of the dark topic. And this one's going to be talking about eating out humans, but not in the Pornhub, not in the Pornhub way.
Oh, well, I guess it's my specialty that way too.
Like what we want to do to Tim. Don't you want to put Tim Davis from Horror for Dummies on like a barbecue and just rotate him?
Oh, I was hoping
like
you were going to say, I want to toss his salad. I want to eat his ass.
that We also talk about, there's a podcast that we constantly harass. They're called Horror for Dummies. We have a feud with them, and it's real. It's a real feud.
It's a sex feud.
The truth is they're assholes. So they constantly belittle me, calling me a bitch, hurting my feelings every single chance they get.
Always talking about how sexy I am.
Yeah, always how much they hate me. I don't know what I did. I'm just a nice Heather, just trying to get by, and they just bully me. But I guess like Tim really didn't like Halloween Ends, maybe because he identifies with the bullies, and maybe that's how it is. I'm Corey because I murder kids,
and he's one of the band geeks.
He's a mullet one. That's who he is. Yes, that's right. So anyway, that's a little format of our show. In case for some reason I don't know, you're starting episode 70. I don't know how you would, but if you did, that's what we do. So we're going to jump into our first movie, which is called Hellhole. And no, we're not talking about something that's on Scott.
That's my pleasure hole.
Scotty. All right, that was funny. All right, this is a 90-minute runtime. In a monastery cut off from the world, the monks run a clinic for the possessed. One day, a young policeman, Merrick, very Polish name, comes to the convent. Posing as a clergyman, he penetrates monastery life and then tries to explain the recent mysterious disappearance of several tormented inmates. It turns out, however, there was no way out of the monastery. This is a Netflix film. I actually thought it was fairly enjoyable. I don't know. Exorcism films are a dime a dozen to me. There's very few that are done really well, unless it's The Exorcism of Emily Rose, or the one that we saw on Shudder 2 years ago. About the guys. That one was really, really
well done. One we'll be talking about in our main topic.
Yeah, like those to me stand out. This is just a fly-by-night exorcism film for me. But it is an easy watch on Netflix, and it is dubbed. So if you're an exorcism completist, I don't know. What did you think, Scotty?
I went into this one expecting it to be like your very generic Christianity, exorcism, possession type film. And it takes a different twist that made it actually much more interesting to me. I think that helped because I am not a big fan of most exorcism films. Obviously the big name ones excluding them. But no, this one I just thought was fun. Like it had like a different take on it, and I thought the acting was well done. It was well shot. Had some cool like dark atmospheric moments to it. Like definitely worth a watch since you have it on Netflix.
Right, it's a Netflix free watch. So if you dig this shit, and international films are where it's at, it's still better than anything else Netflix puts out. Honestly,
right.
For that, we recommend it. So Scott has this next one because I haven't seen it.
All right, so the next one is called Love Hurts, also known as Most Horrible Things. This one, the synopsis is, 6 strangers are invited to a dinner party by a charming and enigmatic host, lured by the promise of substantial financial reward if they last the whole evening. However, all is not what it seems as the host reveals the dangerous and ultimately deadly secrets of his guests. So this has a very similar plot synopsis as the one with Jeffrey Combs, what was that called? Would You Rather? Like it's very similar to like it's a big dinner party thing with all these guests getting lured in for money. But it takes a little bit of a different twist to it, and each person is basically there to kind of conquer something of theirs, like get past something that they have struggled with. And it, definitely takes a dark turn, but I found this to be very entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely recommend this one to watch, especially if you like that Would You Rather style of plot. All the characters I thought did really well. Had me just kind of guessing what was going to happen next. But yeah, highly entertaining. And there's definitely a new mini theme going on with these dinner to guest type movies. I like it.
To another award, dinner party award. No,
exactly. There's not enough dinner party movies
No.
in 2022 to do an award for.
No, not yet. So do you recommend it as a watch then, obviously?
Yes, I had a lot of fun with this one. I highly recommend it. Unfortunately, it does not look like it's available to watch anywhere just yet.
Because we watch screeners.
Yeah. But when this one comes out, either look for the title Love Hurts or Most Horrible Things. I'm not sure which one it will go for.
Well, the good to know, and it will probably be on VOD, so please check it out. Unless, I don't know, Shudder sometimes picks this shit up like a year later, or whatever the case may be. So the next one is a Amazon Prime, I believe, film. Yeah, it's a Prime film for me anyway. I think it's on Prime for you as well. Run, Sweetheart, Run.
Oh, yeah, I'm not sure where that is for me yet. I'll look it up.
Oh, okay. It's on Prime for me. So this is a 103-minute runtime. A first date from hell. A woman runs for her life through the streets of Los Angeles after her blind date suddenly turns violent. Well, it's not a date, actually, but that's fine. That's a small error that I think we can forgive that this movie.
It kind of sort of turns into a date in a way.
I guess so. It does, right? There's some really good actors in this. The acting in this, to me, was very, very good. I felt like it was a light version of Take Back the Night and Lucky. It was like, okay, we're going to do those movies, only we're going to make a little fun and fluffy at parts. That being said, I think it's an entertaining watch. I think it's a smooth watch. I think that the acting is great, especially by the main woman, Ella Balinska. Excellent actress. Hope to see her in more stuff. She's only been in Charlie's Angels and Hunted, so hope to see her in more. I thought she was really quite good. My general thoughts are this is definitely a kind of a survival film, surviving the night. You kind of get the vibe out of that from the title. It keeps you engaged. I think it went a little bit of a silly route at times. I think if they just kept it more natural, it would have been a little bit better. But overall, an entertaining watch for a free watch on Prime. What did you think, Scotty?
I love this. I just had so much fun with it. I think it's because it does take a little more of a lighthearted approach compared to the other more serious, darker films that you brought up.
Mm-hmm.
This one definitely is shot really well. The acting is phenomenal. I'm going to try to pronounce his name because, like you said, Ella Balinska, and then the villain of the movie, Pilo Esbeck. People will know him if they watch Game of Thrones. He was the Theon's brother or like sibling or something like that.
Yeah.
And he was a complete asshole in that movie, and he just kind of in that show, and he completely brings that type of style.
He was also in Overlord from 2000.
Oh, is he really?
Yes, he was in Overlord.
Nice.
Yeah, he's a lot of acting chops to his name, to be honest with you. They really did. I think he made this movie entertaining. Like, I think he carried a lot of this film, to be honest.
Yeah, because what makes this film for me, besides the acting, is the way that it is filmed. It has break the fourth wall moments to it, and I feel that kind of like adds to the entertainment value while still being like respectful to the source of what it's covering.
Yep.
But I highly recommend this. It's like pretty much it's right from the get-go. It just goes, and it's quick runtime, and it's on Prime for me as well. This is definitely going to be up for an award, possibly, for me.
Awesome. So there you go. Run, Sweetheart, Run, available on Prime. The next one is a to-be-found footage, and I'm going to basically tell you now, don't watch it. It is Godita Diaries. I think that's how you say it. It's a 93-minute runtime of torture. Vlogger Richard Deacon investigates black magic and the summoning of King Solomon's 72 demons in his current series. Jay Short, who also wrote this film and produced it. Don't quit your day job, my friend. It's not. I don't know what this dude was thinking. There's some people that like go into a movie and you're like, wow, you brought your best effort and you really tried here. I didn't get that impression with this one.
Oh boy.
Like something where Day of Disappearance, where that person wrote, directed, acted. I did watch that on Scotty's recommendation. A much better found footage film.
Yeah.
I recommend that one much more over this one. Skip this one. It's on Tubi, but no. Like, I don't usually shit on movies. This guy's ego was out of control with who made this film. It was not good. So,
all right, good to know. And like, I'm a lover of found footage, but I'll make sure to skip this one then.
Yeah, it's not worth your time, Scotty.
All right, good to know. So the next one I know both of us have seen, and that is Feed Me.
Feed me, Seymour, feed.
And I love the way they did this, the subtitle or whatever you call that. You are who you eat.
Mm-hmm.
Each word prophesized with a period.
Mm-hmm.
The synopsis is, Following the death of his wife, a broken man spirals into an abyss of night tremors and depression and finds himself in the home of a deranged cannibal who convinces him to take his own life in the most horrific way imaginable.
Mm-hmm.
Man, this movie, not only does it have like that dark style synopsis, but it was quite funny.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look up the character's name.
Alex,
Neil,
Mr. Williams, Olivia.
Lionel, Neil Ward.
Niall. Yeah.
The antagonist in this. I just fucking had a blast with his character. He was fucked up, but at the same time, quite hilarious. And this movie does not shy away from some gruesome parts either.
Yeah, there's some really good gore in this film. This is a really, really good movie, actually. It's a British film. It's a good mix between dark comedy and something that we'll talk about in our Out of the Dark segment a little bit more. And I just, honestly, I think it's worth the rental. I think it's entertaining enough at a 96 runtime. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It's dark enough to be creepy, but it has its funny parts in it to entertain you. It moves through quickly. I would say the ending is a good payoff. I like the movie quite a bit, actually. I really, really enjoyed it. It's available on iTunes, Google, Cineplex, Microsoft Store, and YouTube, and I think it's worth any rental that you pay for it.
I completely agree.
Oh, Scott's coughing. Scott has COVID round 2. Just kidding, guys.
The cough.
He doesn't have COVID round 2.
All right. So the next movie out is one that I've seen that you have not, correct?
That's correct, because I'm not a nerd. I do other things besides watch horror movies, Scott.
Yeah. Well, this title sums up the story of my life.
Oh, get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here.
The loneliest boy in the world. 90-minute runtime. And the synopsis is, after losing his mother, a lonely boy decides to literally dig up some new friends. But when they mysteriously come back to life, he's launched into a series of misadventures as he tries to keep their secret safe from their neighbors, classmates, and social workers alike. So this is it starts off kind of just like sad because, yeah, this poor guy's just, by himself and alone in this house and trying to make friends. And then it starts getting just kind of silly and over the top, but it has this like really beautiful aesthetic to it where it's just very colorful. The house is really colorful, and it's a horror comedy, though for me the comedy did not hit, but it was still entertaining. Like I wasn't laughing, but at the same time I just kind of had like a little smile on my face, like it's cute, kind of.
Okay,
I guess would be the way to put it.
Hey, cute's better than a big piece of shit. So
exactly, like I definitely was not mad that I watched it. It was definitely worth watching and at least entertaining. I would say like $1.99, $2.99 rental would be worth it. This one is available on Amazon, iTunes, Google Play, Vudu, and Amazon Video.
Fuck yeah, it is. Yeah. I'm going to talk about Satan's Slaves 2, Communion. I was very excited for this movie that was coming out on the Shetty. Have you watched it yet, Scotty? No, you haven't.
Not yet.
We just talked about that, actually. Sorry, Scott.
Way to listen to me, Heather.
I know, I'm sorry. We had the whole confusion with the IT stuff at the beginning. It's just throwing me off my game.
Yeah, I'll say threw us off our game.
Threw it off our game completely. So this is 119 runtime, and it fucking feels like 119 runtime, just so we're clear.
Oh, boy.
119 minutes. Sorry, not hours. Minutes. Feels like hours. So.
Oh, no.
A mother's terror is forever. So after moving from their home to an apartment building, a new terror awaits Reenie's family. I will say the middle part of this I really dug. The ending confused me a little bit, but I do think that it's, again, Ghost Stories done right when it's international films. So right. I will leave it at that. If you liked the first one, then yes, definitely I would recommend watching this one. You do need to stay focused. It's only subtitled. There's no dubbing. So it's a subtitle movie only. It's available on the Shutties. So all the Shutties. And it's available on AMC and Amazon channels. When we say Shutty, Shutter. Both Shutter Canada and Shutter United States. But for Friday Night Nightmares, we're close enough friends with Shutter that we call it the Shutty.
So what is it with you just like all of a sudden like making sure to over-explain things?
Because Tim does it, and I feel like he doesn't mention me because I'm a better podcaster than he is. And yeah, like Horror for Dummies, by the way, is this show. It's two people who are Aussie who talk about me, and they call me a bitch. And I just feel like this is my, I'm explaining everything. because maybe we have new listeners too, Tim. You ever think about that, Tim? Well, we're going to be recording with Tim next week. We're doing our wrestling episodes. So
in all fairness, I mean, Luffy is the one in control of the show and writes and edits and, does all.
Oh, wow.
Tim's just there to watch the movies. That's, that's what we're gathering from what we've been hearing.
Oh, man. That's fact talk.
Love you, Tim.
But yeah, the Shuddy. So for those who don't know, Shuddy is Shudder. But yeah, I think it's worth it if you have Shudder. You might as well. If you like the first one, you'll probably enjoy the second one. I just didn't find it as good. That is just me. But sequels rarely are better than the original anyway. Usually,
that is true.
Aren't like, oh man, the sequel's the best. That occasionally does happen, but most times not that case.
Yeah, I can agree with that. But yeah, this is one I'll probably be checking out sometime this weekend if I get the chance.
Oh, yeah. It'll be interesting to hear your thoughts on the last act.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to see if I can figure it out.
Big smart brain.
So yeah, the next one, I'm guessing I'm the only one that watched this.
What's the next one? Hold on, let me look. Oh, no, yeah. I feel like I did watch that a while ago. Yeah, talk about it. I can't remember now.
All right, so this is the one Brandon Orlick recommended to us on Friday night. It is called Grotesque. It's got an 80-minute runtime, and it's Mildred Moyer transforms from shy misfit to lovable psychopath when her back alley plastic surgery is botched. Mildred finds herself living her best life as she unleashes brutal vengeance on all those who tormented her in the past. This is, I will put this right here, extremely low budget, very low budget. And very tongue-in-cheek and silly. The reason Mildred is getting plastic surgery is because she has a very, very, very long comical nose, and she gets it removed and never gets it replaced. So she ends up wearing a mask to hide her face and then starts getting vengeance on every single person who has ever done her wrong or just said something wrong or said something just offhandedly to her. And she gets a lot of people. This is only an 80-minute runtime, and she kills, God, I'd say over 15 people. And she has like quips, like she reminds me of Angela from Sleepaway Camp 2.
Interesting.
Like it's not going to be like anybody's like high rated movie. Like I'm giving it like a 6.5. But for the low budget and her acting, I just had a lot of fun with this. It's just very easy to watch. Made me smile and like chuckle, and just watching her go on this massive killing spree was hilarious and entertaining. And this one is free on the Tubi.
Awesome. Nice. Good old Tubi. Good old Tubesies.
Yep, sometimes you just gotta take your shot at some of the low budget looking movies, and you'll find some hidden gems.
It's like taking your shot with Scott and I. We may be low budget, but we're hidden gems.
I'll hide a gem
because we're ugly. We do more.
Like, oh, trust me, I do a lot.
We try way harder. Anyway.
And I'm aimed to please. You know what I'm saying?
The next movie is Hex. And honestly, out of fucking Lionsgate, stop picking up shitty movies like this one. All right, this is an 88-minute runtime. Following a mysterious disappearance on a jump, a group of skydivers experience paranormal occurrences that leave them fighting for their lives. Do you like Final Destination, Rob Humphreys? Would you like to see Final Destination with parachutes? Welcome to Hex. It's very much like, oh, this is a witch movie mixed with like you don't have a choice over your destiny. The acting is not good.
And she's fallen asleep describing it.
Yeah, it's pretty cheese. If you can watch it through unnecessary, like illegal means, go ahead and watch it. I don't think Lionsgate serves any fucking money for this film. It is like, I expect more from Lionsgate. When I watch a found footage movie, Day of Disappearance, and it's a better fucking quality film than something like this, we got problems, So if you like skydiving, I don't know, this might be a movie for you. I was entertained enough by it, but I'm not coming with a strong recommendation here. It is available though on Amazon, iTunes, Google, and Microsoft Store. If for some reason you need to watch this movie super badly, but it's not. Even the cover is like a skull with a person skydiving.
Oh, good Lord.
No, I've seen worse working out at the gym. So I was able to work out and be entertained enough by it. So it worked out for me.
That is fair.
Right.
All right, so I guess I'll jump on to the next one. I'm assuming you have not seen this one.
No, I'm not
All
seeing
right.
this one.
This one is called A Town Full of Ghosts, with a very short and easy runtime of 65 minutes.
Yeah, I like short and easy.
Yeah.
That's why I like Rob Humphreys.
Oh.
He's like a midget. He's like a little troll hanging out.
Hey,
yelling at
him and I are
ghosts.
the same size.
No, he's like probably 5'2". He just lies about being 5'7". Because then it makes his dong bigger. He says he's
Oh, that's right. That's right. Anyways, the synopsis is a couple moves into a forgotten ghost town with big plans to restore it, but soon discover the town has an evil secret.
No. What?
Okay.
They move to an abandoned town and there's ghosts there. Get the fuck out of here, Scott.
You don't say.
What a unique plot line. I'm dying to know what happens, Scott.
Oh, and you'll know exactly what happens because it's that type of movie. But like, all right, right off the bat, this is a found footage. And you know, when you do a found footage film, make sure you follow your own rules because found footage has a specific set of rules that it follows. And when you're saying, hey, this movie is happening, we found these tapes, they are unedited. When you say this has been unedited to show you what happened, don't edit in something that might happen in the future like they did in this movie, because they kind of like jump ahead and like show a quick clip of a girl getting killed, then jump back to the scene again. Don't do that. Also, don't add music to your movie that is supposed to be unedited. If it's going to have music, make sure there's an excuse, like a guy's carrying around something that's creating music for the theme of the show, but he's basically a blogger trying to rebuild this place. And yeah, it's easy watch. I didn't hate myself for watching it, but it seems like they could have added another 20 minutes to this to actually like flesh out what happens, because boy, it just kind of happens out of nowhere and you're going, well, that took a turn way too fast and unexpectedly. All right, I guess we'll go with it. But like all in all, it wasn't bad, but
sounds like our ghost tour we went on.
Yeah, right?
We'll get to that in a bit.
We'll get to that.
That could have been a fucking found footage movie. Anyway.
Yep,
where's this bad boy available, Scotty?
This is also found on the Tubi.
On the Tubi, okay. More Tubi slut movies that we're watching, all the found footage. Yeah, you guys like that found footage, don't you?
Tubi's like, we're going to shove it up your ass. You love that found footage. We're like, yes, please.
We like it so much.
Give us more. Harder.
The next movie I watched is The Sleep Experiment. This is an 84-minute runtime. It's based off a creepypasta, by the way. Two detectives begin an investigation into a disastrous secret military experiment where 5 prisoners were kept awake for 30 days in a sealed gas chamber. I'm not gonna lie, this is kind of a hard watch. It's you're watching 5 people slowly go mad because that's what happens, right? It's based off a creepypasta story. I will say that it was, obviously a low budget film, but worked with their budget well. I don't want to give too much away yet again. And if you enjoy the government experiments and like top secret shit gone wrong, I think you'll dig this film. At a 84-minute runtime, it's not overstaying anybody's welcome. If this sounds like something that would be up your alley, it is available on the iTunes, Vudu, Amazon, DirecTV, and Kojiko here in Ontario. So I don't know, maybe it's a fucking Canadian film. It sounds like something that would go on Kojiko. It's pretty dark. Like it almost, I had to look it up to make sure it wasn't a real story. That's how dark it seemed.
Okay.
It's a creepypasta, but it is definitely one of the more creepypastas. So bravos to whoever made this into a film. It's disturbing. The concept's disturbing.
Interesting.
Not the film isn't scary as much as the concept.
Right.
So,
and where can this be found?
Oh, this can be found. Oh, I said it, so obviously you weren't listening. iTunes, Vudu, Amazon, DirecTV, and Kojiko. Now you can go back and listen to it twice.
Okay, Kojiko, I did hear that. I thought that was your same filming locations.
No, that's why I said I think it's Ontario because Kojiko has it, and that's a very local satellite cable provider in Ontario.
Gotcha.
So I'm assuming that it must be local.
I was being sidetracked by the next gem that I'll be talking about.
Oh, I understand. It's supposed to be from your Pornhub searches.
Damn straight.
Nice.
So this next one is called Two Witches with a 95-minute runtime. Little subtitle is Witches Don't Die Before Leaving Their Legacy. The synopsis is a matriarchal witch passes on her sinister inheritance to her granddaughter, triggering the most horrific curses. This movie, I gotta say, the first half hour disturbed me. Like I was all on board. I'm like, okay, this is dark. This is going places and showing things that I don't want to see. This is kind of fucked up. And then the second half of the film happens and it just kind of like switches to different characters, and the main character is not the greatest of actresses. And then the story gets really weird and kind of convoluted and just like kind of just folds up on itself a bit. I don't know what the hell happened, but like, man, that if it would have stuck with that first half hour or so and kept rolling with it, I would have been 100% behind this movie. But like right now, I'm just like, they kind of just dropped the ball with the later half of it. But
that's fair.
If you can find it for free or for rent for cheap, go ahead. I'd say it's worth that at least. But it can be found on Amazon, iTunes, Google Play, and Arrow Streaming.
Nice. Well, I'm gonna jump into the next Prime film that I watched, My Best Friend's Exorcism. Oh yeah. I think you watched this too, didn't you?
No, this is one that I was curious about.
Oh, okay. It's a 96-minute runtime. The year is 1988 because it's super cool now to do shit in the 80s.
Fuck yeah, it is.
It's super cool because the 80s were the best time ever. Abby and Gretchen have been best friends since 4th grade. After an evening in skinny dipping goes disastrously wrong, Gretchen begins to act differently, which leads Abby to suspect her best friend may be possessed by a demon. And I'll leave it there.
Man, I hate when that happens.
And that happened when Scott was here. I got possessed by a demon. Luckily,
to exercise the demon,
right? This is a teenage film. This is for teenagers that want to like pretend that the 80s were cool. Like this generation want to be, oh yeah, man, I hated the 80s were sick. For any of us who lived through the 80s, we're going to be like, and it wasn't like that.
We're right.
So, but it's cute. You know what? It's a cute little film on Prime. If you got some maybe entry people to horror movies, like maybe some preteens that are kind of like a little bit of horror fans, I think it would be something they would enjoy. I don't think most, adult horror fans are going to overly enjoy it. Or you're really nostalgic for the fantasy version of the 80s, not what the 80s really were. This is available on Prime, both America and Canada, included with your Prime membership if you want to watch it.
All right, good to know. I may watch this one at some point because it seems like it'd be at least an easy watch.
Oh yeah, it would be.
The next one we both watched.
Yeah, do you want to talk about it since it's so good?
Excuse me. But yes.
He's just clearing his throat to talk about how great this movie is.
Let me clear my throat. But anyways, the next film that we both seen was called The Lair, directed by Neil Marshall, which most people will know for, I believe it was The Descent, most of the battle sequences in Game of Thrones, and either it was last year or the year before was The Reckoning. A Royal Air Force pilot, Lieutenant Kate Sinclair, is on her final flight mission when her jet is shot down over one of the most dangerous rebel strongholds in Afghanistan. She finds refuge in an abandoned underground bunker where deadly man-made creatures known as Ravagers, half human, half alien, and hungry for human flesh, are awakened. Right off the bat, I will say, if you know Neil Marshall and like his pedigree of what he's done, this is a beautifully shot film. Like cinematography is gorgeous, locations are beautiful, it just looks pristine. The effects, creature effects, yeah, they're okay. I mean, not the greatest, not the worst. They're just kind of very blah and generic. The gore is great. Some really cool looking practical effects. I think it's practical effects, but it looks really good. The acting destroys this film.
Yeah, the acting's dreadful.
For someone like Neil Marshall, who has a good budget like he does behind most of his films, this was painful and so fucking cliche.
Mm-hmm.
All I gotta say is, like, if you like creature features and and you're there to see the creature and the gore, then you can watch it. But I found this just very blah.
I agree. And that would be the only reason. I think it's available for rent, right? I didn't look to see where it was.
Let me check where it's at.
I believe it's available for rent. Yeah, it's available on iTunes, Google, Voodoo, Microsoft Store, YouTube. I don't know. You gotta really, I don't know. If you're a creature feature completist, go ahead, but the acting's pretty painful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. What's the next one?
Now, which one do you want to talk about the remaining ones, or what do you want to do?
I want to talk about I'm going to talk about this last one, and then I'm good.
Okay.
So the next one is, let me pull it up here. Where is it? There it is. All right, so the next one is Eating Miss Campbell. It is, I was shocked to see, a trauma film, which I have not seen a new trauma film in quite some time. So I'm going, oh boy, this could go either way. This could go, this is so dumb and entertaining and gory, or this is going to be dreadfully painful and boring as shit. Thankfully, this was the latter. What is more poetic? What is more poetic? An American than a high school? Oh, sorry. What is more poetic? What? Okay, sorry. My brain is mush.
You can do this, again. Scott. I believe in you.
What is more poetic and American than a high school massacre?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Right?
True.
A vegan goth high school student falls in love with her new English teacher and develops a problematic taste for human flesh. So, like most trauma films, this touches on a lot of social issues in a very taboo way that some people would say is tasteless while also still getting its point across. But this completely makes fun of unfortunate, gun shooting massacres that happen in schools and veganism and all that stuff. But like, it makes fun of it to the point that this is like a British school and they decide to hire an American superintendent because this American superintendent has this great idea. Let's do this contest. And whoever wins this contest can do one of two things: commit suicide or commit a school massacre with guns. And if we do the gun violence thing, we will start getting sponsors from all these other American companies and blah, blah, blah. Like, it's like totally like just a slap in the face to what really happens in America. Like, and just very taboo. But it's done in that trauma sense of way where it's just like, I mean, you're not far off. It's pretty sad that it's like that.
Right.
But the main girl in this, I find her hilariously dorky and adorable at the same time. Lindsay Kane, who plays Beth Connor, she's basically this goth chick that's totally like, I don't give a shit about anything. I want to end my life. I want to win this contest so I can kill myself. But then she falls in love with this most weird, like happy-go-lucky English teacher, and you find out that this English teacher is trying to convince her to eat flesh and have human cannibalistic needs, and it goes in a really ridiculous and silly path. Like, man, I didn't know what to think of this movie when I was watching it. I'm just like, wow, this is definitely trauma, but it is fun. It is shot well. The acting is perfect for this film. It's not like fantastic performances or anything all around, but it's like so tongue-in-cheek, and it's done with like that dark style sense of humor that I recommend any trauma fan watch this. You'll have a blast with it. And anyone that's not a trauma fan, this might be a kind of like a foot in the door type trauma film for you, because while it is offensive with what it talks about, it's still very kind of cutesy, entertaining, dark, and gory all at the same time. It's everything that trauma is wrapped on one, just not as chaotic as some of their other films.
Awesome. And where can we find this bad boy?
This one can be found apparently nowhere yet.
So soon to be dropped on VOD.
Yep. So apparently this was a festival.
Oh, nice. So it'll be dropped on VOD soon. Cool.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely I had fun with this one.
Awesome. I'm going to save the one I most recent watch on Shudder so you watch it. Okay. And we'll talk about that next time. But for older watches, so I did watch Pledge Night this afternoon from 1990. It's an 86-minute runtime. Oh my God, is it dumb? The first half, I'm like, is this even a fucking horror movie? And then like the final part picks up. I don't know. If you want to watch some cheesy fucking shit, like Davidson gave it a 1 star and he's not wrong. It's not that great of a film. But I was entertained enough with the fucking villain that's in it. I thought he was really great. It's clearly a low budget from 1990. But I'll be honest, out of all the ones I've watched from 1990, it was a hidden gem for me in terms of like cheesy and fucking like over the top dumb. If that's your thing, it is available on the Shetty right now. And it's also available on Amazon, AMC and Amazon channel and Arrow. So for some reason, if you want to go back and watch Pledge Night because you missed it when it came out in 1990 and you want to watch something that's like sorority massacre but not good, or not, is it, what's the one with the Hell House or Hell Night? Hell Night,
yeah.
You want to watch Hell Night but not as good, watch this. Just nowhere near what Hell Night is, but
good to know.
Entertaining enough, right?
I was looking it up to see if I had rated it because I thought I'd watched it, but apparently I did not.
Oh no, it's okay, Scott. You don't. I don't know. If you're really bored one day, maybe. Right. But like, it's anyway. I put it on because I just wanted something fluffy to watch this afternoon. But on to what's new, and that's probably the most important thing. Is many of you know, Scott and I got together over Halloween weekend, which was very special for us.
Sure
just to say, Scott and I never really got to spend Halloween together, and it was also for Scotty's birthday. And we did a couple of things. The first thing we did was a ghost tour.
Well, the first thing we did is stuffed our fat faces full of sushi.
We went to sushi, but that's not horror related, except for how much we ordered.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it kind of was because they had the servers all wearing costumes.
That's true. The servers were wearing costumes, and Scott and I ate like we hadn't eaten in 15 years.
Fuck yeah.
We did. But that night we dressed up as Georgie and Pennywise. People saw the pictures on our Facebook. I don't think we need to, beat a dead horse about it, but we looked great. Better than Horror for Dummies. Better than Rob Humphreys. I don't know. Not as good as Dave Z, because Dave Z's a friend. So
shots fired to Tim and fucking Humphreys.
I'm totally lying. Tim went all out for Halloween.
Oh, he went nuts.
Yeah. Maybe Daniel didn't dress up, but Tim certainly did. But yeah, so anyway, we went for this ghost tour, and I had been on tours with this company several times. So this was the first time I was taking Scott. It's downtown Hamilton. For those of you that are not familiar with downtown Hamilton, there is a homeless issue in downtown Hamilton, and much similar to downtown Flint or Detroit or wherever a major city would be, you have the homeless population. The ghost tour I thought was pretty good. There was some good folklore. We went to like some businesses, some former hotels that were haunted. The tour guide did a great job of telling stories. Scott will give his thoughts, and I don't know if he wants to talk briefly about our night of found footage fucking disaster. Might as well have been. But I don't know, Scotty, do you want to give an overview of your thoughts of the ghost tour?
Yeah, this was the first ghost tour I've ever been on. So this was exciting for me, and never really got to like explore downtown Hamilton that much. Like we've stopped like at stores here and there, but we've
gone to the bar, but
yeah.
It helps, yeah.
But getting to explore and see a lot of really cool old architectural buildings and get some really cool stories behind it, and like, possible like ghost stories, like who knows if they're true or not, but it just adds to the mythos of what's going on. The storyteller did a great job. He was very friendly, very animated, and very into what he was doing. And yeah, a lot of cool like stories were told, a lot of history behind a lot of these buildings, a lot of beautiful structures. And then we get to one of the most beautiful structures there that I've seen, and that was this old Gothic looking cathedral. And really wish I could have enjoyed the story for that one, but we had an issue that happened at this point. One of the many homeless people that are part of downtown Hamilton was off to the side of where we're at. And you could already tell he was kind of agitated when we showed up, whether it's because we were all there just kind of interrupting his peace. He's obviously been drinking because there's several beer cans along the cement wall that we were walking by. But he had a very beautiful pit bull with him that was not on a leash, but was just like very well trained, followed him around everywhere. However, one of the ladies decided to say something. I missed what was said.
So what happened was this gentleman was upset. The police had just been there, and we're not getting political about what the police involvement is with homeless people, but they probably said something to him, I assume, and he was upset. Maybe he's upset that we were there, whatever the case was. He did not threaten us. Let's make this clear. The confrontation happened when someone went to him.
Yes. Because what you don't do when you run into like the homeless people like this is interact with them because they get very agitated.
Well, or interact in a negative way.
Yes.
Right? Obviously, he could have mental health issues. He's on the street. Scott and I are both very privileged to have homes to go home to and safe place to be. Just respecting to give him his space, engaging with the storyteller, treating him like another human being that you would passing on the street. I wouldn't make conversation with a random other person on the street. I'm not going to bother this man.
Exactly.
So these ladies decided, one lady in particular decided that the fact that he yelled or got upset and dropped his backpack and the dog took off, because I guess the dog got startled. Like when I say took off, walked away 10 feet maybe. She decided that she was going to accuse him of animal abuse. And this turned it into a screaming altercation outside of this cathedral. So unfortunately, the tour guide was already a nervous dude. And Scott and I were kind of up with him, and he's like, should I move? I said, yeah, we should move. I think Scott said something too, like, yeah, why don't we just move over?
Yeah.
So we walked to the other side, but unfortunately, this lady decided that she wanted to keep fighting with this dude, and now they're screaming at each other. There's kids on our tour who are crying. And we're just trying to walk around to the other side, but she won't disengage. She won't disengage. He walks away, she says something, and he comes back. Like, it's just constant. So our tour guide decides that he's going to call the police. Now, lots of people who listen to this podcast can have lots of different opinions on what the tour guide did there, but he was concerned about the safety of the group. So now we're waiting for the...
And he even asked the group, do you want me to call the cops? And majority of the group said, yes, please.
Yes, I did not say yes,
like you and I just kind of walked off to the side.
Why don't we just continue on the fucking tour? She's an adult. If she wants to stay behind and fight with this dude, let her.
Yeah.
Because I've grown up near Hamilton. I know the cops aren't going to show up, because what are you going to say on the phone? Oh, this guy's yelling at me on the street.
They'll say, walk away.
Walk away, right? So anyway, he calls the cops. The cops don't come. There's this whole, like, we're 20 minutes now at this church. Eventually the dude, and we won't go on to it, he leaves with the dog. So no one is harmed. He leaves with the dog. At no point was the dog harmed. I didn't see him hit the dog. Nothing happened to the dog. So the dog was fine. So we're 20 minutes delayed, and sorry, go ahead.
I'll say, also, don't forget, while this is all going on,
we see something rear-ended. Yeah.
A car accident happens right next to us.
Which the cops show up for, by the way.
Yeah, the cops show up for that.
Which was even funnier. So
and then when when this guy walks away, he walks into the middle of the road, and just because he's angry, he's deciding to just stand in the middle of the road with his dog. And I just wanted to sneak a picture of him, because he looked like something from a horror film, because he just stood dead still, staring right at us until a bus drove up and he was blocking the bus's lane. And the bus driver stops and just gets on the mic and just goes, "Move or I'm calling the police." And the dude just kind of stands there, arms out, and like just kind of like trying to be intimidating, and then he just walks away. But I'm just like, man, that guy just doesn't give a fuck.
Well, he was upset, you know, and I think that the reason why Scott and I bring this up is because it pulled us out from the atmosphere of the ghost tour.
Yeah.
You know, this was a situation that could have been avoided. And even when we started this tour, these people were from Hamilton. I think Scott was the only outsider that wasn't from the community. You know, if you've been to downtown Hamilton, I've had a woman chase me and call me a bitch and a slut, and she's going to cut me. And when I was going to get one of my COVID vaccines, you know, it's an unfortunate case in our society that there are people with mental health issues that live on the street, and they are much higher risk of getting harmed than they are harming us. Yeah. And typically, if you don't engage, and this goes with any random stranger on the street, if you don't engage with a random stranger in a negative way, they're probably not going to engage with you.
Yeah,
generally speaking, right? You're going on a downtown Hamilton ghost tour. You should be aware of that. So it's just a shame, because here I was like, oh, Scotty and I are loving this tour. And then this conflict happened. And the tour guide, I think, you know, I do believe he thought he was acting in the best interest. But unfortunately, it just pulled everybody out of the ghost story telling.
And honestly, I think he was scared.
I think he was a nervous dude. And I think he felt responsible for this woman. I actually emailed afterwards. I forwarded the email that I got response, because I wanted to acknowledge that the tour guide did a great job of handling the situation, that he did what he felt like, and it was no by shape mean his fault.
Right.
You know, you can't control what other adults do. And I'll leave it at that. So, but yeah, anyway, by the time we did that, like, he told a little bit about the church, and there was like an old burial outside, and we got to the last building, and, you know, he did his best to pull us back in. But up to that point, the tour was awesome. And I'm glad Scott still had a good time, because, you know, other stuff had happened that day. I just wanted Scotty to have like the best birthday ever, and now, you know, we're watching this found footage film, like we're gonna end up on Cops, you know what I mean? Scott and I are gonna be the ones being like, this was an unnecessary situation that could have been avoided by all parties involved. So it was a very good learning experience for both of us, and we still had a good time. We came back and we watched Cabinet of Curiosities, so you know, it wasn't, which we watched 3 episodes of, which was great. So that was fun. And then the next day we had pumpkin carving. So we want to thank everyone for voting.
Yeah, thank you for that.
That was a lot of fun. We did pumpkin carving at my place. My friend's daughter came over and painted pumpkins, and We just had a really, really great afternoon. And then we went to Haunt Manor. And this was where people were supposed to come up and yell at you and scare you. So it made a little bit more sense that was happening on that event. What did you think of Haunt Manor, Scotty?
Oh, I had such a fucking blast. It was so much fun. Like hell, like you were even saying like, oh man, this line is taking forever, like because it was like an hour and 20 minutes.
We waited a long time in line to start the haunt experience.
I think just being in that atmosphere and just watching all the haunt actors showing up, I didn't even realize how long
I'm glad you dug it. Hey, as long as you were happy, that's all that matters.
Yeah, because I was just taking pictures of everything because that's what I do. Yeah. I'm a fucking tourist. I do that type of shit. And yeah, when we got to the first one, which was like a haunted barn, and finally got inside.
Shit.
Oh man,
great.
Well, Heather made sure I was in front of her because she didn't
matter.
She didn't want the scare actors to scare her. However,
I get startled really easily, so I should explain why. I get startled really easily, and I jump, but then they chase me because they think like I'm scared, but I'm not. And this happened. Scott saw it fucking happen. Happens all the time.
Well, I was saying, however, one thing she made the mistake of is she was behind me, and a lot of haunt actors usually wait till the group passes before they come out to scare. So a lot of these scaring and startling happened to poor Heather, who was behind me, because the actors would come up behind her and scare her, and then they'd start following her, and she's going, you got me once, you're not gonna get me now.
With their like fake machetes, right? Pretty funny.
A lot of it I seen coming. There was only one time where Heather got startled, which startled me, and that was the lady that was hanging in the rafters that came flying down because you screamed and it startled me, made me jump.
I went, "Oh fuck!" was actually what I said. There was one part where Scott and I had to crouch down, and we were like, "Our knees!"
Yeah, like my back, my knees.
And it was a very good haunt, though. The barn was a very good haunt.
I will say there were two specific spots in that haunt that got me. One is I was in front, we were walking, and it was all foggy, and I'm just walking, it's very low visibility, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, there is a haunt actor in my face. I don't know where he came from. He just walked from the shadows into my face. I'm going, ah! I was looking straight ahead, too, and I didn't even see him, and he just appeared out of nowhere. Scared the hell out of me. Then the other time was when we had to crouch underneath the little lower door. You start walking, and I looked down, and my foot was on nothing. Like, because there was just a clear plexiglass sheet, and you can see down where the other people that are going in are. So it gives you that fear of like, oh shit, I'm about to fall.
Yeah.
And it got me really fucking good on that one.
Yeah, it got me too.
But yeah, that one was a lot of fun. Then we get out of there and we kind of go in this like pavilion part and just kind of chill for a second, then get in line for the haunted hayride.
Oh man, this is what I was looking forward to. To me, this was like the crown jewel. I hope Scott liked it as much as I did. I thought it was a blast.
These people went all out for this. This was so fun. Like I don't think I got scared except for one time. Like I don't get scared easily at this stuff because I'm more just like, as Heather can attest, I'm the one that's like talking to the scare actors like, oh, can I live here with you?
I think they wanted to punch you in the face at parts. I think they were like, shut the fuck up, dude. I think some of them were like, I was like, oh my God, Scott's going to get beat up by the scare actor. It's going to turn into fucking Haunt 2019.
Well, before we got into this one, like, I do got a joke because there was a dead bride that be kind of walking around silently. And I told Heather, I'm like, well, if she comes back around and tries to scare me, I'm going to ask her to marry me. And she sure enough, she comes back around and she stops right in front of me and just stares at me. And I just look at her and go, will you marry me? And she just instantly turns her head and walks the other way.
Poor Scott.
Like, I got to die.
Story of his life. The haunted hayride. Sorry, yeah. I want you to get to the good part.
Well, I'm just kidding. I'm building up story.
Oh, fuck's sakes, you talk so much. It was a big night for you, though. In all fairness, it was a big weekend for you. We did a lot.
But yeah, the haunted hayride was a lot of fun. Because it wasn't technically a hayride because there was no hay that you're sitting on, but it was like, but it was like this trailer that you're on. Like there was I'd say 20 people.
Yeah, they probably packed it too full. We sat in the middle, and usually, like if you sit on the outside, you get more scared because obviously the actors jump down and but they jump onto this fucking
I was not expecting that.
And they like scare you and shit. And so Scott was wearing his Friday the 13th t-shirt, and I said to him, oh man, I hope Jason's gonna jump on, because I'd been on this before, and he did, and lo and behold,
here comes Jason, hops himself up, and he looks over at me, and I look at him and go, Jason, I think your mother's been looking for you for a while. And you could just tell he's like, oh god damn it. And he walks over to me.
This guy's not taking me fucking seriously. Yeah.
And he walks over to me and just raises his weapon, like his machete. And then Heather's like, show him your shirt. I'm like, oh yeah. So I open my sweater and go, look, Jason. And like the most adorable thing happens. He just kind of stops, lowers his weapon, and then just slowly points a finger and touches the mask on my chest. And then slowly points that finger back up to his face like, me?
Oh my God, it was the best. Jason. It was the best.
And he just kind of nods, pats me on the head, and walks away.
It was honestly made the fucking night. It was so good.
Oh, it cracked me up. And then, yeah, there was I think like a clown with a chainsaw that flew over our heads.
Yeah.
That scared me. That one got me.
Yeah. And then there was a guy dressed up as Leatherface that chased the way in. It was fun. Like, it was really, really fun. And they had this like video playing, and it was really, really fun. So the last part of this haunt, so we get off the wagon and there's 3 haunts in one. And this is late at night, just so we're clear. Like, they're closing up shop soon. So these actors are tired, it's cold. You know, it's been a long night, and there's this little 6-year-old in front of us named Zoe. And
oh my God.
Scott and I will share briefly on Zoe, but Zoe was like talking to all these actors. At one point, there was a lady's like, I'm a witch, I'm gonna take your teeth. And she's like, are you the tooth fairy? I like the tooth fairy. And like straight out full of fucking conversations with these scare actors. Like,
to the point
they couldn't stay in character anymore.
Yeah,
because
they just gave up their character and just started talking. Because she's just going, blah, 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 blah. I'm Zoe, blah, 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 just like chatting their ears off. It was so fucking adorable.
It really was. So we go through this haunt, right? And we eventually catch up to them because they're trying to space you out, but you move through. And like one point, Scott left me behind and I chased after him. He doesn't remember that part. He went so quickly. I was like, he was like down the hallway and away from me. I know. You noticed that you left me behind.
I had no idea.
Yeah, if this was haunt, I'd be dead right now, and you would be not recording Friday Night Nightmares. So anyway, this little girl's like flipping off these characters, like, I know this is a haunted house, and I'm not afraid of you. Like, she fucking like nuts. It was nuts. Yeah.
Oh yeah, like we literally were not scared because we had the power of Zoe with us, and she was just talking smack to everybody that jumped out.
She talked smack to these actors. It was hilarious.
And she was like greeting some of them, and then some of them were chasing her, and she's like, I'm not scared of you. I'm not scared of you. There was a clown with like a fucking hatchet or something. And he's going, I'm going to get you, little girl. And she's like, you don't scare me. You don't scare me. As she walks away, the clown actor walks back by us and he goes, man, she's a feisty one.
Yeah, like she just didn't give 2 fucks. But anyway, the final haunts were fine. Like, I'm not criticizing the actors. By the time we got to exiting the one, you could tell they were all like,
yeah, because it was
fucking done. It was 11 o'clock, which is when they should be shutting down, right? And it was cold. Like, it was cold. They weren't wearing a lot of clothes because they're wearing, haunted outfits. Which made Dave C excited. He was like, "Oh, is that a fucking strip club that I missed?" No,
Dave. Yeah, it was zombie strip clubs.
It was. They were wearing Halloween costumes. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. We had a really, really good time. I was just so happy that Scotty enjoyed it. It was nice to do. It was basically a weekend of Halloween stuff that we were able to do together, that both of us like horror movies. So it's great. So we were able to do it, and we like booking season. So we know Halloween is come and gone. So we're recording this much later, but we had a blast. And I'm so glad Scott had fun despite any of the hiccups that we experienced during the weekend.
Yeah, I had so much freaking fun with it. I'm so glad that I was able to come out there, and you always are an amazing host and just took care of me while I was there and just showed me a great weekend. And yeah,
wow, it was fun.
It was definitely one of the better Halloweens I've had in a while.
Well, Halloween birthday, it was your birthday present. So doing these events was a birthday gift from me to Scott, much like AEW was a birthday gift from Scott to me, and we had a really, really good time. And who knows, maybe he'll come back out next year and we'll go to Fear Farm, which is another haunt, and maybe we'll do another ghost tour. Who knows?
I'm totally down.
But yeah, both were ghost walks. Hamilton Ghost Walks, strongly recommend. All the tours have been fabulous. And Haunt Manor, located in Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada. Excellent bang for your buck. Recommend it. Check it out. They're worth it.
100%. Yeah, this was just a blast.
So yeah, we're going to hear from one of our Legion podcast friends. And after that, we're going to come back and we're going to talk about some Thai horror. So after these messages, we'll be right back.
Cha-cha.
Did you ever see a film at such a young age it left you traumatized with cinematic wounds? Necrophilia. It's a dead issue, man. Don't push it. Cinema Psyops is a weekly podcast documenting an ongoing experiment on the mind of an unwilling test subject.
No one should have to watch this movie.
Oh, no one should have to watch this?
No one should have to watch this movie.
Surprisingly, it's not a topic that a lot of people really want to tackle.
I'm shocked, Prudes.
I know, really.
Right?
It's the next sexual frontier that no one wants to explore.
I am, in the most sincerest of senses, disappointed in you.
It takes a powerful goddess like Connie, jam her arm down the monster's throat and kill it. Oh, I'm still tripping out over that. Even as a kid, I was like, I gotta find a girl like that. Every week, I get a new look of disappointment that I never thought I could get out of her.
Unimaginable. At 12 years old, you should not be watching this movie.
Obviously.
At 13, you should not be. 14, you shouldn't be. I'm not entirely sure even 17-year-olds should be watching this.
Just because you're offended by something doesn't mean that you have the right to demand that it doesn't exist. Watching this film again, I had all of this like little nerd glee with everything that kept
little
popping
history
up.
all popping up
absolutely.
at you.
So I totally loved this film.
Hey, I know why you couldn't see that. It's because your brain's warped watching this shit at 12 years old.
Yeah, this is a rough movie. I told you ahead of time when we were getting ready to do it that it was
How
going to be a
did you
rough
watch
one.
this shit at 12?
Because physical wounds heal, cinematic ones don't. Listen to Cinema Psyops.
Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about some Thai horror, which is actually one of my favorite genres or favorite countries for horror. I should say genres, favorite country for horror. I love the original Shudder, which unfortunately we couldn't find for this episode. Fuck, that's it. But watch it. If anyone hasn't seen it, please watch the original Shudder. But we chose two other movies, one that's available on Netflix and one that is available on the Shudder. So I'll let Scotty get into it. The first one.
All right. So the first one we're going to talk about is called Inhuman Kiss. The release date was March 14th, 2019. An innocent young woman is unwitting host to a Krasu, a demon who causes havoc in her village as it searches for vengeance at night. Wow. This one, I really freaking loved it. It has, me being the romantic guy, has the love story that's in this. But this is it's basically about this young girl. I forget her name. But she is basically the village doctor / nurse while a war in Bangkok is going on. Like they're on the outskirts of Bangkok. And so she's just treating a lot of ailments that are happening in the town and stuff like that. And then she just so happens to start showing these like rashes on her chest that she starts covering up. Mm-hmm. Well, that is the sign of the folklore spirit creature that Thailand has called the Krasu, which is a female spirit entity that is a severed head that floats around and I guess it's like haunts and steals away children. It's considered the true folklore or whatever. And in this, it's very similar. Like one night, she all of a sudden just starts feeling this agonizing pain, and her head detaches from her body, and then she's just like shown flying through the sky with like these red tentacles coming out from under her neck, and like basically eating livestock and stuff like that. And then the next day, she wakes up and she's back to normal.
Yeah.
But then you get this group of hunters that show up that have been hunting Krasu throughout all these different villages, and they had heard rumors that there was one here due to one of her childhood friends who was away in Bangkok, who lost his parents, attached himself to these hunters and basically said there's a Krasu in this village, basically just to use as a means for him to get back to this village and have escort. And because he didn't know there was anything going on in the village at all, he just wanted to get back to his friends and the people that he knew in this village. And then the hunter starts trying to like go out at night and try to find the Krasu. They're starting to see like signs of it and everywhere, so he's like for sure looking for it. And it just continues going on like that, where later on, you get another folklore. I think it was what was the male's one's name? The Karang?
No, I don't remember. I thought it was just the one. Sorry. I didn't realize there were two different ones.
Yeah, I'm going to look it up real quick.
I didn't like this movie as much as you did.
Really?
I found it kind of boring and a chore to get through.
Really?
Yeah, that's why I'm kind of letting you take the lead. I do think the folklore telling, I'll be honest, the third act picked up for me. But the beginning, I found it a chore. I thought it was 30 minutes longer than it needed to be. It was not my favorite Thai movie.
That's okay.
Yeah, for me, but again, that's me and that's my opinion, right? It's just, I think it was a good reflection of the Taiwanese folklore culture, and I thought it was a good job of, who was involved in it and the sacrifices that had to be made. But I found it boring.
Okay, yeah, I didn't find it boring at all.
Right, that's why it's good that you're talking about it, because I'll be honest, I don't have much to say. I will say good folklore. If you like folklore, it's well made, solid acted film. Just wasn't for me.
That is fair. And I looked it up. The male version is Krahang, Krahang. And while Krahang is supposed to be basically the same type of spirit where it's the head gets severed and floats, they changed it up for the movie, and it's more he becomes a demon that feasts on the heart of the Krasus.
Okay.
And so that you end up finding out that the main hunter, is actually a Krahang, and he infects one of her best friends.
Yeah, I figured that part out. I just found it honestly strange.
No, yeah. And for me, I love.
When is this going to be fucking over?
I loved all the characters in this, so I was so invested in the characters when nothing was even happening on screen. I just loved the dialogue between them. I just felt this was just a very good folklore horror that was, obviously with a big budget like Netflix gives, or at least bought. It was really well done. Some of the effects, with Krasu, which are going to be hard to pull off practically, looked decent, though there was some CGI spots where it looked silly. But I just found the folklore in this to be just very fascinating. And I looked up the folklore, and it actually is real. That's stuff that in East Asia they believe in. And they have different names for it in different countries over there. But yeah, I really just dug this. This is a high recommend for me. I loved it.
Awesome. I'm glad you liked it, and I'm glad you can recommend it. I would say if you like folklore, check it out. I like the second one a lot more.
Yeah, I would say this one's more fantasy than horror. Would you agree with that?
This one? Oh, this one that we just watched, Medium and Inhuman Kiss? Yeah, that's probably why you liked it more than I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but the next one is pure fucking horror.
Oh, it sure is.
So the next one is, let me pull up the Google Docs here. All right. Next one is The Medium, released July 14th, 2021. In the Isan region of Thailand, a shaman realizes that his nephew, I thought it was her.
It's a she, but that's fine.
Yeah, okay. I just wanted to make sure that I was...
No, you're right. You're right.
Realizes that her nephew has been possessed. However, the goddess that appears to have taken possession turns out not to be as benevolent as she first appears.
It's an interesting review. It's an interesting
I would say because the benevolent one that they're talking about doesn't actually first appear. It is multiple spirits that possess this body. Oh.
It is a very good found footage film. This is how found footage should be made. It is a fucking excellent mockumentary. It's filmed like a mockumentary. Yeah. And it is very good. A scene that stands out to me in this film is the ball pit scene, where she's slowly changing, or this is the slide where she pushes her friend over.
Yes, I was gonna say, because I remember hearing in reviews, because I'll let everybody know this was a first time watch. I missed it last year. I didn't get around to it, and I heard people reviewing it and talking about the ball pit scene creeping them out, and I'm going, well, I seen the ball pit scene, but the creepier part was at the slide.
Yeah, the slide part, that's what it is. And just her in general, the slow descent into the possession is extremely well done in this film.
It's unsettling.
It is what a mockumentary should be. The disturbingness at the end, not an okay ending, not an okay film. No. And I think that's yet again, this is what I love about Thai horror. This is what I go to when I'm looking at any kind of Thai horror, Japanese horror. Things don't usually have happy endings. Right. And there's a reason why. And it's because the fucking evil wins. And I think this movie, I know we spoil a lot in this one. But I want to be careful, because I do think this is a movie that needs to be watched. If you have missed this one from last year, watch it. Watch this movie.
Yeah, because I knew little bits about it, but I just knew that a lot of people loved it. Mm. And so, yeah, I really wish I would have watched this last year, because this definitely would have won a couple different awards for me and been in my top 10 for sure, because this movie was fucking incredible. Yeah. Unsettling, very creepy. Doing the mockumentary style, they had a reasoning for everything they did, where the cameras were set up, who was filming, why they were filming. Everything made sense there. Just the story, just unfolding in front of you is just fascinating, and you're just wanting to know what the hell is going on, and you're like curious on what's happening to poor Mink, because she is just she slowly starts changing, and it's more just like aggression at first, and just
it's a great possession. It's a very realistic possession mockumentary. Like, it's a possession mockumentary found footage film done so well. You know, it took 3 subgenres and it combined them in a beautiful atmosphere. Like, it's
it really did.
Right.
And it's like, it's a very slow burn, but man, when it gets to that final act, shit hits the fucking fan.
Absolutely. It is incredible. This movie, it's about a 2-hour runtime, and it deserves its runtime. It is a very, very good film. It is a very heavy film. It's a very dark film, and I think it's one of the better exorcism films that have come out. Taiwanese horror at its best in this film.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this may be my favorite exorcism film now.
Awesome.
Like, I loved this. This was dark, like I like my films to be dark and twisted. This one had that.
Nice.
Had a great story and a mystery leading up to it. And once again, it's an exorcism film where it's not the North American Christian God. It was a different God. And I love that it's
and you can really get behind the protagonist here. Like, you really want them to be successful. Like, you're like, holy fuck. Like, the movie pulls emotion from you. Watch this film. I know Scott and I usually go into more detail. I don't want to. I want to skate the surface, give some tidbits, and you fucking watch this movie. If you haven't seen it yet, it is worth your time.
100%. This movie was fucking 10 out of 10. Amazing.
So Thai horror, and also I recommend Cheddar, because that's a great one.
Yep, and one that we were choosing between this and the other one, The Maid. Another high recommend.
Excellent. You know, they even did The Pool, which is fun. What about the guy with the alligator? That's a different type of Thai film, but it's also very good. Thai films are where it's at. So please, you know, if you haven't had a chance to dive into them, please do. Now, we kind of loosely talked about it in our 2022 section. We won't say which films specifically, but it's brought up a couple of different times. So Out of the Dark, I said to Scott, what about cannibalism? Not like us eating each other, but like in general, and barbecue sauce on each other, ketchup
Excuse me, Biff, while I take a bite out of you.
Right? Scott has his cat. The cat's like, fuck off. The cat just licked him back. He's like, oh, okay, it's what we're doing. So I find that every once in a while we get this kind of burst of cannibalism films. Cannibal Holocaust came out. Scott and I have both seen it, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right? That one I found was more of a mockumentary. Oh, it's a mockumentary found footage, obviously. And then we get movies like Raw, which is a accidental cannibalism film, where the young lady in it is, you know, her family comes from cannibal lines and she's trying to avoid becoming a cannibal.
But like kind of basically a overarching story of veganism.
Right. There's also The Silence of the Lambs, which I think has probably one of the more famous cannibal scenes in it, or, you know, and Hannibal, where they eat Ray Liotta's?
Ray Liotta and Hannibal.
Right. And then we have other movies that have come out in the last couple of years that involve cannibalism, you know, movies like Alive, or situations like Alive, where you have no other choice but to eat another human because you die.
And in the 70s, Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, right. And that has continued to kind of develop through, or, you know, The Hills Have Eyes.
Hills Have Eyes, yep.
Wrong Turn. You know, like, there's a lot of movies that base itself on cannibalism. And you have a couple of different genres of it. You have the outsiders that are seen as mutants or a subculture that chooses to eat people. You have refined, where people who are rich of value want to eat people.
Yep, and they go to the lengths to cook it and make it like a fancy meal, and have wine with it and all that stuff.
And then you have the accidental cannibals that end up doing it for whatever reason. It happens and they become cannibals. And it's an interesting story arc, I find, because it kind of builds on the belief of the taboo of eating human flesh. So the question I wanted to ask Scott is, do you think that if you eat human flesh, you become addicted to it? Do you think that rumor is true? Or do you think that's just to prevent us from consuming each other because of getting diseases or whatever, especially like during the plague or other outbreaks, and possibly having the germs come into our body?
Yeah, I don't think you get addicted to it. I think that is just a myth, especially that came from the Wendigo mythology.
Yeah, that's a
Um,
good point.
I think it would be just like eating anything else. Like you may be like, oh god damn, that was really fucking good. I wouldn't mind having it again sometime, but you wouldn't be addicted.
Do you
Like
think you could tell the difference?
honestly, like if you did it the Hannibal Lecter way, I doubt it. Like if you're like sautéing it up and cooking it with all the different vegetables and actually, cooking it properly, I bet you it tastes like most other meat.
So when we look at the movie Fresh that came out, remember the movie Fresh that came out earlier
Yeah.
this year? That talks about cannibalism in it as well.
Yeah, and he ends up forcing her to eat some of.
Right. And it's a class thing that people pay a lot of money. To me, that is the most accurate to where I think cannibalism comes from. I think, yes, that you would have communities in different parts of this world that have engaged in cannibalism, ate their elderly as a sign of respect or passing, for sure. But I feel that whenever we see cannibalism in that kind of like rich eating the poor, there was another movie that it was kind of like that. Wasn't it the weird one we watched where the Society or something like that? High Society?
Oh yeah, Society.
Society, right? Similar.
Like I mean, but they weren't cannibalizing, they were like having a weird
orgy shit. Yeah,
the shunting orgy. But
True,
that's basically
true.
but they were basically consuming the poor.
Or even like, Sweeney Todd, the movie, right? Where it's based on like a musical. It's funny because it gets sprinkled in some of the most weirdest movies. You have it in the Wrong Turn series as like these freaks. And then you have it in a movie like Alive, which is based on a true story where they had to do it because they had no other choice.
Yep, same with
it's
like
interesting.
Same with like the Dahmer party. They got lost in the Colorado mountains or wherever it was,
right?
California, and then also Alfred Packer, which that Cannibal the Musical is like loosely based off of, where you're with a party, you get lost out in the middle of these mountains in the wilderness, nowhere else to go, and you're starving, and well, one of your friends or people that you're with passes away. Well, you're hungry enough. Gotta eat something to survive.
Right. There's even the Parents movie from 1989 of the parents that cook. Like there's been a lot. When we brought up this topic, all I could think of at the time was, Silence of the Lambs, Green Inferno, Cannibal Holocaust. I didn't even think of Fresh, which was a great movie that came out.
Yeah.
That totally talked about the high class vision of cannibalism, some recent movies that we talked about in our 2022. And I think it's an interesting taboo topic that's always been able to be inserted into horror and to add that extra level of creepiness. Like, even when we saw the movie, do you remember The Farm back from 2018? Yep. And people were kept like farm animals and then they were harvested, right? But I'm wondering now, if the kind of the hillbilly, the freaks or the people that are, cannibals that are scary looking or whatever, the Texas Chainsaw Massacres and the Wrong Turns are being replaced by the more, the rich eating the poor. This has become a specialty, and the people being tempted into it, right? Like you'll taste the human flesh and then you'll never want to turn away. Like if that's becoming more of the horror flavor, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's almost like it's like lower class cannibalism and high class cannibalism. Isn't that kind of interesting that even in cannibalism they're making class systems?
Yeah, I mean,
right?
It's interesting. And what was the one that had the original and the remake like back to back that were both very similar? It was like we something. We are.
Oh, we are what we are.
Yeah, we are what we are.
Yeah.
That was another one where they're like cooking the meals like they're just like a dinner for the family and
right. You're right. That's actually a really good example where it's like a whole family affair and the girl's trying to avoid it and get out of that situation. Yeah, it's really. Anyway, there's a lot of different cannibal movies that are out there, and it's just it's fascinating genre. I don't know how I feel about being addicted to human flesh. I don't think that's really a thing, but I think we are discouraged to doing it because I think there's a lot of diseases more than anything else that I think you could catch by, I guess if you cook the meat or whatever. I don't know how long you would need to cook something for. I don't think I could eat a person, though I eat meat. Like I eat cow and pig and chicken. So I'm not trying to put myself on any kind of pedestal here because I do eat a living creature. I'm not a vegan or a vegetarian.
Right. Like I would never, I'll just put this on the record. I would never eat another human. That I would not be a cannibal. However,
just so we're clear, if we were in a life and death situation, I died, I would understand if you had to eat me to survive.
I was saying a situation like that, we'll see what happens.
My tummy has a lot of fat on it. I feel like there's some really good meat there. Maybe my boobies and maybe my bum bum. Like I would
Fair
go
enough.
for that. That's probably where the best meat is.
And you know, I'm all about eating ass, so it works.
Right? You're barbecuing it up.
But I was gonna say, but yeah, if someone like decided to trick me and cooked a meal for me and it ended up being human flesh and I didn't know, and then they told me later, I'd probably be like, well, shit, didn't want to be a cannibal, but I guess I am now.
Right? Like I would feel like, because you always see like the visceral reaction, like in Fresh or whatever, they throw up afterwards, right?
Right.
Like, they're so disgusted and they vomit it, you know? And it's such a hard thing to say how you would actually feel in that moment. I just think it's such a taboo issue. And I know we've talked about it in our previous episodes. I'm pretty sure when we used to do topics, I think we did cannibal movies.
Yeah, we did do a cannibal.
We did a cannibal one. So, you know, I think for me, the reason why we're resurfacing it is because we're just seeing it in a different way now. Yeah. We're seeing a much more high class cannibalism coming out in our films. And I just think it's really, really interesting, right?
Yeah, and like I say, we've seen a couple different cannibal films this year already too.
Right, and you could argue that vampirism was one of the first form of cannibalism. Same with zombies, though I guess zombies are subhumans. I could just see some horror fan out there right now, like Tim Davis, getting upset about something that I said like that. I mean,
in werewolf too. I mean,
oh, don't say that. Tim's gonna get even more mad. Oh my god, Halloween End's gonna look like nothing now. He's gonna be so fucking angry with us.
Don't worry, Tim. You don't have to watch this. You don't have to listen to this show. There is no werewolf at the end.
None. We promise. But I don't know. And I feel like cannibal films are kind of slowly losing their creep, but also trying to create it in a different way. Like you're being forced to consume it, and now you're disgusted by it. Or in one of the movies that we saw recently, you engage consensually, which has happened in the past. That is a historical thing that has occurred. And then you maybe change your mind about how you feel about it. I think it's a really, really interesting subgenre, and I'm interested to see where movies go and horror goes with it more, because I feel like you've got to constantly up the ante to shock people.
Yeah, and I think long gone are the days of portraying Aboriginal tribes as cannibals now.
Yes.
I mean, obviously we had Eli Roth doing Green Inferno, but that was his nod to cannibal Holocaust.
Yeah, and like there
are tribes that do it.
It's done out of respect for elders and respect.
Yeah, I'll say they aren't hunting us down and eating us. Like, no, it's like a.
No, they probably have every right to.
Yeah. I mean, if they could get their hands on an American, they'd get a lot of meat.
Yeah, but we taste good. Like white people, like white Americans, like you and I are like a white Canadian. We drink a lot of fucking dairy and shit. Like we probably don't taste that great. We probably would taste yuck. They'd probably be like, oh.
Well, from what I've heard, meat eaters are not the best. Like in animal world too, meat eaters are not usually the best meat.
Right. And like I definitely I have a lot of respect for people that are vegan and vegetarian. I don't make fun of that. Good for you,
I just couldn't do it.
I like. Maybe I could if I went to, I said I couldn't do it, but then I watch these documentaries and it upsets me, like the farm thing where like 2018, where how animals are treated. Like, I just don't want to know. And I have no problem saying I choose to be ignorant and I choose to be uneducated.
Right.
Because it's hard for me when I think about it. Like it's hard for me, and I'm selfish and I'm choosing to consume meat because of that still. And that's a fault in my character, I guess.
Right.
Because
and shit, 90% of probably what I eat since I'm from America probably isn't real meat anyways.
No, it's just fake meat. It's actually people.
It's all like sodium and other shit and preservatives.
No, they're just crossing out people,
Yeah, we're doing Soylent Green.
Right, that's right. So it's an interesting genre with Thanksgiving coming up in America. Scotty has his Thanksgiving celebration coming up in a couple of weeks. This episode will be released just before Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving in Canada has already passed.
Man, I hope my family cooks up a good human for us.
Right? Yum, yum, yum.
Get that turkey baster ready.
Get it ready. Yeah, I definitely have a few cannibal movies I recommend. I think Raw is an exceptional film. We Are What We Are, I think, is excellent. Fresh, I think, is excellent. Feed Me, I think, is excellent. Trying to think of some other ones that have come out recently that I really enjoyed.
Well, and then there's some other just like hidden gem ones. Like, I mean, I'm shocked you haven't said it yet. I'm very disappointed in you, Heather. Cannibal the Musical.
Oh yes, Cannibal the Musical, one of the best fucking movies of all time. My apologies, Scott. Yes, definitely everyone should watch Cannibal the Musical. I think we are. I think that's a really good one that you brought that one to the table. And Fresh was actually really good.
Yeah, and then fuck, what was the name of the one from the 90s? Oh God.
Parents? Not Parents. That's from 1989.
No, it's another based off the Wendigo style myth. Ravenous. Ravenous from the 90s.
Ravenous, yes. A lot of people like Ravenous, actually.
Yeah, that one is
Very
really good.
popular
It's kind of a comedy in a way, but it's really good and like also kind of dives into the whole Wendigo myth and the more human flesh you eat, the more powerful you become type story.
Yeah, let's eat Scott and I. Then you just
know, then you're gonna be like, I'm gonna watch lots of movies.
No, that's all you do. And then you but don't have a real strong and passionate opinion about any of them.
No, you're just like, I like movies. Movies are good.
Right? You just don't get upset about shit. But yeah, those are some of the cannibal films we recommend. And hey, let's see what cannibal films do in the future. And for all you Americans, happy Thanksgiving. Hope you have a wonderful holiday.
Happy gobble gobble day.
Gobble gobble gobble. We are doing something very special on the next episode of Friday Nightmares. It will not be horror related. It will be a one night stand wrestling event.
And boy, I would not want to have if I was going to have a one night stand with anybody, it would be Rob Humphrey and Tim Davis.
Absolutely. They like you, so that's nice because neither one of them like me.
Big old orgy. You're not going to be able to tell one from the other. We're going to be knees and elbows everywhere.
It's going to be like a WWE match. It's going to be like a fatal 4-way. Only I'm just going to be sitting on the side of the video camera masturbating. But yeah, we're going to be having a wrestling podcast. We're very excited for it. So we call it One Night Stand because obviously we're Friday Nightmares. We're not a wrestling podcast, but it's very challenging. Tim Davison as a
Tim
podcast.
Davis.
Why did I call him Davison? Make up your fucking name now. They have a podcast called Wrestling for Dummies, and it's just very challenging to schedule with them, even though I had absolutely no problem setting up this event for us, but apparently it's too hard for Tim to have me on. But anyway, that being said,
he's intimidated, Heather, that's why.
I honestly, I can't wait to bring that up on the recording when I'm like, oh, Tim, this really took me all of 5 seconds to set up this recording for us. And we are going to be going over our views on WWE, AEW, Mount Rushmore of professional wrestling, and finally, but not least, where we see what we want to see in the future for wrestling. So I will be moderating it, which I think these guys think it's just going to be like a scream fest. I'm not that passionate. I'm passionate, but I find wrestling fans most of the time annoying. So if people get too like loud, I'm like, shit.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're passionate like we are with our horror films, where it's like we're not gonna argue, and like if you like something, we're not gonna try to change your mind.
Yeah, we don't care. Yeah. We're like, good for you. Glad you like it. But we will be doing that, so it should be fun discussion. I'm really looking forward to hanging out with Tim and Rob again. I plan on drinking a lot during that podcast, so that should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I'm gonna need some booze just to
you are
have fun with it as well, and also get myself hyped up for the AEW Full Gear the next day.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the next day will be Full Gear, so Tim will be all like, and then he'll be like, I like AEW. It'll be great. But please listen to that. And as always, we thank you for listening to us. We hope we give you some 2022s to watch and a good little discussion about cannibalism. And I don't know, maybe that's what you're into. You can always let us know. I don't know,
Yeah. Would you want to eat me?
Scott really wants to know that, actually. He's really hoping you say yes.
And just because I know, hair is just a pain in the ass when you're trying to eat somebody, I'll shave for you.
Yeah, see, even Scott's a gentleman. See, that's the kind of gentleman he is.
It'll be a gentleman's agreement.
Gentleman's agreement. I love it, Scotty. That's awesome. So anyway, we are members of the Legion Podcast Network, and we're not going to eat any of them because
maybe
Bo Ramsdale,
Bo and Court coming for you, boys.
Darren, oh no, let's go for Darren.
Yeah, Darren too. Yeah,
absorb some of his smartness so we can be just as smart as Darren. So we are proud members of the Legion Podcast Network. You can find us under the Kill the Cast feed. The Legion Podcast Network also has a Patreon. For $3 a month, you can listen to some awesome additional content, movie reviews, commentaries, get away free promo codes. And if you're not a member of Legion Patreon yet, Scotty and I want to know one thing.
What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for?
Excellent, Scotty. So please join us because what is the saying? We are all one or something like that.
We are Legion.
We are Legion. So please join us and please listen to our One Night Stand Wrestling podcast. It's going to be a lot of fun. Tim and Rob are awesome. That's why we make fun of them so much. They're really cool dudes. So I'm looking forward to having them on that podcast. And we'll be back next time with more 2022s and more good old podcast fun. But do you have anything to say to the people before we sign off, Scotty?
Until next time, everybody. For all my American friends, happy Thanksgiving. And enjoy and get stuffed, because you know me, I love getting stuffed. Until next time, unpleasant dreams.
See ya.